Welcome to the Darks Kings Tech Lab. I am the Darks King, and today we're going to revisit the Galaxy Z Flip 5 1 month later. So let's cut to the chase. It truly goes without saying, but for those of us who are Samsung Knights or even just everyday smartphone enthusiasts, we were all wondering, is Samsung really going to do it? And spoiler alert, as you can see from the table, they actually did. So starting with the build quality, for those of y'all who do not know, this right here is the Galaxy Z Flip 4, last year's version. And there were pretty much two things, whether you were a Samsung Knight or enthusiast or, just somebody who thought the phone was interesting, there were two things that we needed Samsung to address in the build quality department. And they did. And those two key things were this cover display right here, this thing right here, and this crease right here when it's closed. Some people call it a gap, a crease, whatever you want to call it. As you guys can see, if you look real closely, it's kind of like a slanted gap. It starts smaller and gets bigger here. Well, I am proud to announce, late albeit, they fixed both of those problems. So from a build quality standpoint, you have a much larger, more functional cover display. I have it on that 5-second timeout, so I'll probably be tapping it a lot to get it to show back up for you guys. But it's now this screen that almost covers the entire front of the phone. They got the cameras right here, of course, and then there is the flash. But as you can see, hardly no gap. Now, you may be asking yourselves, well, why does the gap matter? I am going on a record to be one of the few creators, as well as one of the new and up-and-comer creators, to put it out there that I really think that part of this phone's problem had a lot to do with this here gap. And when I say problem, I want to be specific. There's plenty of you who've never had this phone, but for those of you who have had at least one of the older models, including this one of the things this phone has been plagued with from a build quality standpoint is cracked displays. And if you know, you know, but a lot of people have had issues with it creasing right in this area. So far, it's only been a month, but I have not had that issue with this guy. Some people have had the issue, but I did see a YouTube channel where literally there was some gentlemen who were testing these phones and they achieved over 400,000 opens and close with this guy, which, if you're familiar with Samsung's reporting on this, they've only rated it for 200,000 folds. So they got twice as many folds and a little bit over. I believe the channel was of a guy that goes by Mr. Keyboard. I'll have it linked in my description because it's not completely spelled out. It's abbreviated, but shout out to that channel. Shout out to him and some of the guys and gals who helped him test these phones. They literally spent days testing this phone as well as the latest Motorola Razr phone. And that's where I'm getting these numbers from. I've always been of the opinion, though, that I don't think it's the flips, the opening and closing. That, by the way, is very soothing and satisfying, that have been causing these devices to fail screen-wise. I really think it's the lack of dust resistance that these phones do not have. And simply put, these phones are not ready to be taken to a beach. I've told a lot of people, hey, I wouldn't get this phone if you work in a more dusty or dirty environment, or if you let your kids see your phone. This is definitely not the phone that can be thrown against a wall or used as a toy for playing games. all the time. Although it can play some games, don't get me wrong. It's not a rugged phone, to put simply. It's just not a rugged phone. And with that being said, I kind of went into doing this 30-day test as well as using this as my main driver over my S23 Ultra to kind of see what this phone really brought to the table for someone like myself. I'm a big phone kind of guy, got big hands. I've always been a ultra, more note type of guy. So going with this device was really a change of pace from what I used to. And there was a lot of good things that came out of it. Starting with one of the most important aspects of its build quality, it's compact. Now, from a thickness perspective, this is definitely thicker than like a traditional slab phone, right? A traditional flat phone. But that's not the party trick that's going on here. It condenses down into a fold. Or in this case, a flip phone. And I didn't think that would be as appealing to me as it has been. But let me tell you something. I don't ever put my Ultra in my pocket. I'm one of those guys, I rock a phone on my hip, on the holster like a dad. I ain't got no kids, but you know, I'm that guy. I'm the phone holster on the hip kind of guy, especially with my S23 Ultra. And to be honest, I also have a holster for this. They are not sponsored by me, but I'm using Tongate. I may do a review on that case if people want to see it. I don't have any affiliate links or anything set up with them. Just my completely unadulterated opinion on that. Like this video. If we get at least 100 likes, I'll definitely review that case. I think it is one of the best cases that I've bought specifically for this type of phone. I also have a soup case that I got for my Flip 4. I own both of these. One's my work, one's being used as my personal. But yeah, I mean, I love the phone. I didn't think I was going to love it. I didn't think I was going to love it. You know, I also find myself, I'm being ginger and gently with it, but I'm normally one of those type of guys. It's kind of hard to do it on camera, but I flip out the phone like an old school phone, like Flossie or somebody would do it. Shout out to Flossie Carter. But, I haven't had any issues. I haven't dropped the phone with or without the case. I haven't dropped the phone. I did, however, get like a slight scratch on it. You probably won't even be able to see it in the camera, but it's like microscopic. It's like right there. And the thing is that, because of the build materials, the glass, the glossy glass, fingerprints, as you can see, are crazy. I'm literally wiping off this thing 24/7. Samsung, the next model of this, the Z Flip 6, just do matte glass like the Ultra and the S23s. We don't want any of this, please. Not unless you're going to make it a complete, like, mirror reflective body like you guys did the Note 10. Otherwise, we do not want this glossy. No. Take it back here. Remember this? Remember this? Z Flip 4? Remember this? Bring it back here. It's so compact and it just works. It's out of the way. Every once in a while, I forget and I put it in my pocket. I'm avoiding putting it in my pocket just for that dust reason that I brought up earlier. But, otherwise, I think you'll be just fine. Like I said, I think dust and other fine particles like that, sand and stuff, getting caught up in this crease right here is probably the main issue. So I try to keep the thing clean. And of course, don't take it to the beach. But, other than that, it's got some pretty neat features going for it. Particularly, Flex Window is literally this windowed display. Now, it's pretty neat because it's basically a widget screen. It's basically a widget screen. And, I got some of my favorite widgets. including some app shortcuts, which we'll get to that. But I love it. Except there's one problem. And Samsung, you already know where I'm going with this. I'm sure I'm not the first person to touch on this, but particularly with some of these first-party widgets, they are not actionable. One of the first things that people would try to do when I would show them this phone is they would see this screen right here and think, oh, I can tap these and they will open up or do something. They do not. Samsung, this is a missed opportunity, especially from a perspective of the common Android user. Like typically when I see a widget, I'm inclined to tap on it to expand it and maybe show additional information. You don't even get a prompt to open the phone. These don't do anything. They're just all for looks, except that camera one, which I'm not going to mess with because it's going to turn on the front facing camera and then you guys are going to have to see me. But Samsung, make the widgets interactable, especially for things like clocks and so on and so forth. Here's the weather. I think this one, nope, this one isn't actionable neither. So, you can see how that would be an issue. I think camera might be, or calendar. This one, now this one's pretty neat and handy. It's good for controlling my earbuds, as you can see. They're not currently connected, and that's why this one isn't working. However, this one right here, this is Good Lock. If you're familiar with the Samsung phones, you know what Good Lock's about. It's about unlocking extra components and capabilities of the phone. It's a Samsung first-party app that they still haven't got baked into the software as part of like features, but you can go and download it from the Galaxy Store. It is a Samsung-made app. It allows for additional apps to be used on this screen. By default, they only offer like 6, and it's Messages, Netflix, YouTube, and probably like 3 other ones that you don't really care about or care to use. I would show them, but I don't have it set up that way. And I still got some of my personal data on here. But as you can see, I got a good 8. Bear with me, I got it set on 5 seconds for the screen to time out for security purposes. But yeah, I got it set up on 8 different ones here. And these are the things that I'm most likely to use when I use this screen. So one of the functionality changes that came with this is, well, now you don't have this thing, which was completely gimmicky and didn't really offer much, this sliver of a screen. It is more akin to like older school flip phones, I guess you could say, but honestly, for me and probably most people who had this little screen on here, it was just another gimmick that was draining battery life for no reason. So with this screen, depending on what you're doing, you really don't have to open the phone as much, which is good from a usability standpoint, but also from a safety perspective. I'm more so talking about not just you, but the phone, keeping the phone safe. You're far less likely to even open that screen and potentially destroy the screen. But also, if you can get so much more done on here, it's a smaller display. It drains less battery. And some things just don't require you to open the full phone. I think that's both a pro and a con, depending on how you look at it. Some people may argue, well, why even unflip the phone? And to that I say, well, for all the things that a traditional phone offers you. So once you unfold it, it's pretty much a slab phone. And I did some basic measurements. It's practically the same height as a S23 Ultra. It's like right there in the middle between an S23 Ultra and an S23 Plus. And if you know, those are pretty decently sized phones. So you're still getting the larger screen phone that you prefer, albeit it's not as wide. It's definitely not as wide. as, say, an Ultra. I don't even think it's as wide as the Plus. Nonetheless, though, you're still getting a bigger screened phone. And when you open that screen, you are provided with a few additional functions, such as the flex window. So this is the flex window. And it's pretty neat because basically what it does is it allows you to still have controls here on the bottom while also being able to record and add things in. So the way Samsung marketed it, and they still do market it in this way, is that it's pretty good for anybody shooting by themselves. I haven't used too much of the flex mode's capabilities. I was actually about to use one today, trying to catch a moment of scenery, and I missed it barely. But with this phone, it makes it easy to kind of set it up anywhere. I mean, it's pretty much your tripod and camera in one. They move the controls down here. This is how the flex window, or in the flex mode specifically, works. Whatever you're doing, recording-wise, is going to be on the top, and then your controls are on the bottom. That way, the camera's pointed at your subject while you still have access to the buttons. It's pretty neat. A lot of TikTokers may go wild for this type of functionality. It's pretty cool, though. That's just one of the capabilities that Flex Window has to offer. I'll definitely link some videos of some YouTubers kind of going through the different modes and things with the Flex Window. I think there's some really good videos out there of the capability of what the Flex Window can be pushed to. But, anywho, like I said, the phone has been pretty neat after 30 days. The biggest cons of the phone, to me, currently is the finish. The glossy is just such a fingerprint magnet that it can be very annoying if you don't have a case and or screen protector. I do, but for the sake of the video, I took that stuff off. But yeah, from that standpoint, it's not the one you really want to go with. You'll be wiping it off a lot. If you don't have a case or even a skin even, you are going to run into the ill-off chance that you might scuff or scratch this phone up. And of course, just keep in mind it's glass once again. So just like anything else that's glass, it'll crack if you drop it at the right angle and point. Also, the hinge. The profile of the hinge was reduced. It's going to be hard to see that. It's got a little bit of magnetism there. Probably the cheek coil. But if you drop this phone, besides cracking either the back or the screen on the front, you also have to be mindful of this hinge. You drop this the wrong way on the hinge, and this phone isn't doing any more flipping and closing. Trust me, I know, and many people will tell you on the internet. But so far, for my first flip phone, it's definitely a great phone. I would highly recommend it. The camera, I'll touch on the camera briefly. This is not the phone that you get to take the best pictures, especially from the Samsung line. If you want to do that, you're looking at probably a S23 Ultra, honorable mention a S23 Plus. I really wouldn't recommend this to the photography folks out there, nor would I recommend it to anybody that's just like really heavily into taking a lot of pictures. It can definitely do that, and I'll probably show like a few samples of photos that I've taken with it. But it's a decent camera, but it's definitely not the top of the line in terms of Samsung. You'll probably be able to get away with using it and not have any issues. But for those of you die-hard quality photo snapping folk, stay away from this one. Get you an Ultra. Thank me later. But other than that, like I said, pros and cons. Build quality could be slightly better, particularly with the finish. Battery life, it's pretty good for what it is as far as a flip phone. Not the best in battery life. I'm getting about almost a full day. I'd say about 18 hours. Most of my days are pretty light, so I'm not killing the battery at all, and I don't really do any gaming on my phone. So your miles may vary, especially if you do any type of gaming or heavy activity like that. But I do think that for the average everyday user who wants a more compact phone that is careful with their phones, I think the Galaxy Z Flip 5 is a great option. Samsung also offers plenty of good discounts, especially if you're trading in through their website. Highly recommend if you're looking for a more compact Galaxy. You got an old phone lying around. Otherwise, this boy retails about for $1,000. I think they currently have some trade-in deals. I'm not affiliated. I'm not sponsored or anything, but just trying to give you guys a tip on the best place to get one of these phones if you plan on buying one. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Galaxy Z Flip 5. If you guys like this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm always looking for tips. I am always looking for feedback. Also, let me know, for those of y'all who know, this right here, this is the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic. If you know, you know it's got that rotating bezel. It is currently dead, but that's okay. It's not a review for it. This right here is the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. If you guys would like to see a review of these two, or even like a comparison or something like that, just let me know. That's probably going to be the next video coming up. Definitely going to do a review on that guy. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for tuning in for the Darks King's Tech Lab. I am the Darks King, and we are out.